make that happen. DZ win, it still doesn't quite guarantee that they go through. There's permutations, we're not even going to bother with that. Really, for DZ, the way they have to look at it is you've just got to try and bring the best brand of Siege that you can in this match, try and annihilate G2 as much as you possibly can, get the win, focus on the outside stuff later on.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure is 100% here on DarkZero. I mean, I think the map veto behind the scenes is pretty evident that G2 are going into this match and don't really care all that much, right? They're just going to go in, have a bit of fun, see if they can maybe get a result at an event that unfortunately has been full of trials and tribulations for them. DZ very much will be looking to lock in. Kangaroo looked absolutely locked in during that map veto, ready to go.
Well, there's no pressure on G2, right? So they can play with that sense of freedom. They can look to be those gatekeepers, as Milosh so pointed out. And it does mean, of course, if DarkZero lose, they are out. They go home with G2. They'll be on the same flight home. So for DarkZero, all the marbles to play for. And for G2, looking to play spoil. We're heading to Bank. Banfei coming up. Blackbeard, Bandau, along with the Kaid. Of course, there's another big game to come after this as well, FaZe Furia. And there are implications between this match and then also the FaZe Furia match. We'll get into that, really. Once we get this result, things will be kind of easier to break down as Grim and Azami will be taken off the board next.
Doki Grim ban, idiots. Yeah, Grim had a relatively high ban rate at this particular event thus far. Really powerful in displacing and generating information. And so we'll see what kind of an impact that may have in this matchup. The other bans are a little bit more straightforward. Kaid expected here on Bank, especially for the influence on basement, and Azami, especially top floor, is quite critical, and so teams will instead likely lean into the castle for a bit of protection and additional positions to be able to play. But yeah, keen to jump into this one, see what the vibe is kind of like inside of the server, expecting full focus here from DZ. Whereas G2 have already got 1 foot in the plane home, so they'll be a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, defense will begin for DarkZero again. I think getting the first couple of rounds on the board will fill them with the confidence they can get this job done. It's a qual/elimination game, right? So for DarkZero, you just got to focus on yourself. Don't worry about the antics that G2 will maybe want to get up with, because at the end of the day, G2 can kind of use this as almost like scrim practice, or bring in different ideologies and how they kind of want to test things out on Bank, especially first half on the attack, the way that they want to maybe test things out. I do wonder the mindset for G2 though, how much on their side of things coming into this match, wanting to actually just deny DarkZero the ability to be able to go to the main stage. It's been a rough tournament for G2. I mean, they've got a 1-3 record so far. The only win coming yesterday against Cloud9, but losses to SSG, losses to FearX, losses to Wildcard. So they played pretty decent opponents. Obviously FearX, the Titans continued that run today with their win over BDS. Unfortunately for G2, by the way, good reference point, they are on the attack so far on Bank. Well, they are dead last at this tournament for attacking win rate. It's a measly 29% attacker win rate. It doesn't help when you lose Loira as well, and it looks like a fast hit to begin with. So no Docker B. First kill goes the way of Citizen, who's actually the 3rd best player at the tournament so far in terms of EPS. NJR, a little bit of pressure towards Lockers, can get the gas babes out. Now Monty needs to be careful in Alamau, but his blast that does get rid of Nave. And so far, the early aggression from G2, it's been a little bit equal, but they've got good elevator position.
What can Alamau do then? Diffuser in hand, will be likely looking to dash across, get that plant down with coverage, likely from Doki. Glaz able to find one more, and if Spirits falls here, the power of that Glaz could be amplified, but the smoke's already off the board anyway. Alamau electing to go deep, so not initially going for the plan, instead a bit of info. Uno to wrap through gold. Could catch a timing, but Citizen able to dash across. Spirits does find the Nitro. Uno falls. And G2 struggling to connect the dots here in the final portions of the attack. Alamau now left all alone.
Pistol does at least a little bit of damage, gets the headshot onto Citizen. He has lots of time here, and especially as the Montaigne can look to reposition safely with the extended shield, but, well, he's apparently not all that safe. Taking damage from an area he wasn't expecting it from, and falls all the way back up main stairs, and he's moving away from the site. The question mark in chat from Nave really says it all as DarkZero kick this match off with a solid round win.
Bit of banter in the chat that the folks at home can't see, but again, a reflection of some of the vibes in this particular matchup. Good opening round from DZ, withstanding the pressure presented by that Monty. Alamau electing not to go for the win con in terms of plant, probably not feeling the coverage was really there. Instead trying to find some info, maybe a pick to rebalance things, but ultimately didn't quite work out. Spirits with a big Nitro for gold. Citizen caught a good timing to allow this reposition. Ultimately, the pinch then in play. 2v1 onto Monty. Never going to happen there for the Monty. DZ already giggling in the first round.
I mean, that's the vibes that you want to have in a match like this. You don't want to be too overly serious with your tonality, and I think DZ always have the ability to hype themselves up, especially with Kenny in the background. And a decent job, of course, to withstand what was a pretty early rush attempt from G2.
10 seconds remaining.
Hell over to control, drop down, use the Monty, try and push in, get a bit of vault control, but
5 seconds.
DZ were ready.
Needles in position. Attackers are moving.
Element now switching actually over to the Blitz. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see G2 in this match really just kind of throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, see what lands, and what damage they can do to DZ. Again, no pressure on G2. DarkZero, I think, also a really good test point. If they can win this and qualify and make main stage and do all that, I mean, this is a high-pressure game for them, because at the end of the day, yes, if they win, there's other permutations, but if they lose, they're just out. So it's a pretty easy blanket statement. In towards Janitor already, by the way, for Alamau on the Blitz. Has a bit of help as well. Doki does lose his life on the initial engagement against Spirit, so they get the opening kill, do DZ, but trades. Yeah, so far from G2 haven't been all that bad, and there's already similarities to the opening round. 2 minutes on the clock in the 3v3. G2 are clearly playing with pace.
Archives in play, of course, for this particular round, so lowest preference here on Bank. They've cooked up a strategy here in the hopes that they can catch G2 off guard, who likely have done little to no preparation for this particular matchup, and understandably so. 3v3, though, as we approach the mid-portion of the round. Uno self-sufficient over towards ATM, droning himself forward. One drone position over towards Square, and you'll position a second to try and garner some information. Counter info on the table, though, potentially here for DarkZero, especially in the hands of Nav. You can see those yellow pings coming through now for the attack. Citizen playing that position, and Loira looking, or pardon me, Blaz looking for the pinch, but falls.
Good kill. Good kill. Naif active. Yeah, playing that Echo, you can certainly sit back, just bank on those Yokai drones, but he gets the gun up over towards Elevators, able to swing out, find that kill on Blaz.
Loira needs to help Uno here.
Loira needs to get involved. Still a minute remaining, but now you're down a player, and you've given up a bit of that map control back to DZ. They've still got really good power positions in this round. DZ looking locked in to begin. And they're being able to withstand all this early aggression from G2 in the opening 2 rounds.
Hello there.
This should be rather conventional from DarkZero at this point on. 40 seconds, they know that G2 playing around that sort of front entrance area in lobby. So they've got so much information. You still got the Yokais available as well if you're Naif. Uno and Loira are going to have to go massive here and hit some big shots.
Loira to initiate the plant. Uno looking to try and cover Yokai in play. Will spot out Loira. Doesn't go necessarily the plant. Pick of the meantime. 20 seconds.
I mean, that in itself is almost bigger at this point. 2v2 now, so evens up the numbers. And well, that Yokai didn't quite get shot immediately. Bulletproof camera watching this position. So again, more information still for DarkZero. Finally shot out. Lost that Yokai as well, but Loira very low. Still looking to stick that plant down at this point now, running out of time to do so. And while Citizen does go down, Loira sticking the plant. Naif should be in a position to deny, but he makes contact with Uno, who is able to stay alive. Finally, Naif gets the job done, and a low-health Loira comes around the corner to meet the fire from Naif, and he will get the counter defuse.
Very clean there from Naif. A bit of a whiff on the initial pick, but was able to recompose.
Awkward round, though. It shouldn't have really come down to be that close.
No. I think a lot of that coming down to some of the temperament that we saw from G2, that trying their best to prioritize the plant, but in a safe position. Loira, dabbled in a couple of different positions, was then forced to dash across to deal with the BPC, knowing that he would have died to the potential wallbang. So there are a lot of different elements there that he had to try and break down towards the latter portion of the round, but did a pretty good job in doing so. And to his credit, kind of had to fight through the beaches of Normandy to get through get through ATMs initially. We saw how difficult that was, but then provided decent cover. Unfortunately, lost that duel in the end, though.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's job done from DarkZero. They've dealt with the fast pace from G2, opening 2 rounds. They've elected to try and hit site, get in the map, get in really early into those rounds too. It was a 3v3 with about 2 minutes 12 on the clock remaining. sometimes when you're playing a map like Bank, you kind of spread out. You play a bit of that roam, try and take full map control, and you can get caught off guard if a team tries to rush in quickly. So, I mean, DarkZero switched on early. Spirits continues to have an amazing event. 4-1 to begin this. But yeah, going back to Citizen, who has been super active in this match. 3-2-3. Third for EPS at the tournament so far. 131 EPS, plus 20 KD, and a 75% cost. Couldn't ask for much more, really, could you? They've been solid pickups, and it feels like this DarkZero roster is primed, but can they get to the main stage? So far, so good. The challenge from G2 has been met. All about back onto the Montaigne.
Yeah, we've seen G2 get pretty good initial map control with these shields. It's also translating that towards late round executes that's proven to be a challenge. Ranged hard breach available. This is not going to end up being one of those games where we see both the Habana and the Ace taken off the board, so Kato ultimately not an issue in this round and won't be going forward.
I do want to add the caveat as well for DarkZero. The more they can win this, the better for them in terms of potential round differential against Furia in the next match to come. So if they can really beat down G2, that could be enough to secure them. So they really do want to actually win this in that kind of 7-0 fashion for multiple reasons. This is not a case of just kind of crawl over the line. So far, so good. Now they ping information over towards front desk, and Spirit surely does get overwhelmed.
Oh, that's a whiff.
Eventually shot the back by Doki. Does finish off Nave. So double for Doki. G2 open up this defensive DZ for the first time here on Bank. Big kill from NJR though. Citizen also answers elsewhere onto Blaz. And suddenly, again, 3 versus 3.
Oh.
Loira, though, the demon that he is, gets the headshot onto NJR and reestablishes the lead for G2 and finds a second, leaving Citizen all by himself. With that kill, though, now only Doki and Alamau to deal with.
He's trying to isolate the Monty, though, into a 1 versus 1. So critical to try and get the kill onto Doki as the plant goes
That's
down.
Nitro. Plant going down. Oh, let's give it a little rip, but not enough noise for Alamau to get off of that plant. And now, with that shield up, surely this becomes very difficult. Rips it, throws it, doesn't explode it, and can't hit the shot onto Doki, who lands his. And with that, of course, now no 7-0 shenanigans possible for DarkZero. So they will not be capable of getting the extra 2 points that were on offer had they won 7-0. And thankfully, it just makes our life a lot easier,
Makes our
doesn't
lives
it?
a little bit simpler, but DarkZero makes theirs just a little bit harder. Additional bans then.
It wasn't a requirement. I need to preface that. It wasn't a requirement. They didn't need it, but it would have been nice. We get into the midway ban phase.
I mean, Monty Fenrir. We've
Monty's
seen
the
him be
obvious ban.
incredibly impactful throughout this match. Last round, a really, really good example. Alamau able to push through lobby, get that control. The front desk crunch was pretty good as displayed right here. At least it was. Until Doki whiffed, but able to clean it up in the end. We then saw a couple of trade attempts from G2 that were stalled out by those Fenrir mines. Loira here was an example of that, but was still able to net the kill. Citizen left in a 1v2 that was achievable, but the Nitro didn't miss, and Doki hit a somewhat clean shot there towards the end to support Alamau. So pretty good job there from G2. They're just simple defaults, as kind of expected. I'm sure DarkZero went in expecting that themselves. And so it's just all about playing a polished brand of Siege to deal with that.
Reinforcing the floor.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good in this match because there's always that thought in the back of the
10
mind. Will
seconds
G2
remaining.
look to show up? Will G2 put the effort in? A match that means nothing for them.
5 seconds left.
But you can clearly see they're active. They're trying to be aggressive. They're trying to play into some of their
Attacker's
strengths.
objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
They finally get a reward for effort. No more Montaigne to play behind. So Alamau switches on to the Ash. Will G2 keep that pace going though? So far, the opening 3 rounds, it's just get into the building as quick as possible and look to disrupt this DarkZero defense. And Nafe on the Ala, maybe those Grismont mines could help out, delaying that push from G2.
Reloading.
I've got someone in the building early onto the piece once
Yeah,
more.
this is so quick.
Deimos as well in play for the first time.
Oh, hello. They almost lined up and did get the down onto Doki. Talk about timing there for Citizen. It goes his way perfectly. As soon as that drop came down, but a good kill from Alamau, expecting Citizen to look for that flush onto Doki, and eventually Spirits does find it, swinging from top blue stairs. And again, it's just what we've seen, part and parcel for G2. Get into the building, be quick, be disruptive. Find the headshots. They traded each other. 3v3 again for the third consecutive round.
Well, pretty swift clear then from G2. Clears the first wall outside of Nafe, who is still in elevator.
Well, the main thing they're going to do now, deal with Vulcan canisters over towards CCTV.
Well, Nafe says, I'm not having any part of that, and drops down.
So they've still got utility that they have to clear on site. NJR later on with the 3 gas babes too will still be a nuisance. But yeah, they got full open area.
And a lot of time to gather info.
Good drone here
that's a
towards
really
Vault.
nice drone. Spots 1 gold, 1 over towards PC. Relays that to the team. I do wonder if G2 posture for the re-hit once more. Looks like that won't be the case. They'll look to clear blue into server, maybe go for a red drop with Candelas. That's always an option as well if you want to be a little bit more aggressive.
Well, the beauty of these fast hits as well for G2 is they've got so much time to then navigate towards the side, the actual main objective. Still got over a minute. And it's a weakened defense now for DZ. A lot of emphasis on that Nitrocell for Spirits.
Good frag grenade as well.
Yeah, huge. Clears out some of these Vulcan canisters.
Tracker on the prowl.
Deathmark here onto NGR, who does still have all 3 gas babes available. I do wonder if G2 may go for a split hit. Blaz posturing over towards Vault for the drop off of those Candelas, but he still hasn't actually dropped the hatch just yet. Maybe it's just a bait and switch. Yeah, plant going down towards default. Uno will commando crawl towards the bomb chassis. And G2 are cooking here in this round.
25 seconds then, and Uno looking to commit. Spirit's looking to relay that information, but NJR does find one. Great Nitro denies the plant, and Blaz on an island. You can see him on the player cam sighing. He knows that this round has gone astray. 10 seconds on the clock, forced to drop rear, no utility. Round over.
Yeah, don't eat G2's cooking.
Well, it's undercooked.
It's undercooked.
Might get food poisoning.
You could clearly see what they wanted to do, right? Fake the Vault drop with the Candelas and try and bring DZ's defense and attention over towards, say, a Vault hit. And with the commando crawl trying to be the little silent assassin to then go actually for a default plant. But then Laura drops hatch, which is intriguing, and then dies immediately. And at that point, there's no cover. There's no ability to deny the Nitrocell to get thrown over. And the round just falls apart for G2, which has probably been a common statement so far at this tournament. You can never fault a team for trying. I think they certainly did try to do something in that round, but it just did not pay off, and DarkZero were able to counter.
Yeah, really nice Nitro there. Clean shot to close the piece. DarkZero just good discipline in that round. We saw G2 actually, Uno specifically, gain some really good information in that round with the Vault drone. Had one in towards the objective as well, late to get a read in towards red and what kind of the denial situation would be for the plant.
10 seconds remaining.
The presence of mind to creep forward for the planned attempt, but
5
the rest
seconds
of the
remaining.
pieces of the puzzle there for G2 kind of not sliding into place, and a reflection, I think, of the storyline for them at this event with the role switch that's been undertaken and the disconnect that we're kind of seeing from outside the server. It's just not quite working for them at the moment.
Starting shock zone.
Boogie's
Oh,
up.
no.
Oh, speaking of.
There we go, second go. We didn't see it, Blaz. Don't you worry. Yeah, and I mean, like, I think for G2, the question marks will be for this roster, how much longer do you keep giving them time to make it work, to find that connection and cohesion? And the shot drone from Alamount, not really doing its job, it kind of just treated it as a regular drone.
Is that both of them taken down now?
Yeah, I think it is.
That's going to make the miracle rough.
Early days in this 5th round, but G2 aren't winning these little battles. Maybe Doki can slip in through towers on the Nook and just get into a bit of a dangerous area. Indeed he will. Doki will open things up with his aggressiveness. Things weren't quite working in terms of the util game for G2, but Doki with the gun is just better. Deals with Citizen, Olo, and they get the pinch very nicely executed and coordinated by DarkZero to deal with the Nook.
Yeah, good little heads-up play there. The Nitro plus impact. A lot of pressure on that position. Doki gets caught, really no fault of his own.
He did his job, he got the opening kill, he got some kind of engagement. But a swift response from DarkZero. Now where to for G2? Feels like for the first time in this half, they've just kind of been forced into a stall. bit of top floor control. Yeah, it's been given up by DZ, but what are you going to do to counter all of this utility down on towards the site? Running out of drones, 3 left, no shock drones available.
Most likely end game here is match top stop.
Hello, Nave is creeping up main stairs, though droned. 60 seconds, another drone gone. More information that G2 will not have readily available.
Setting up a sequential breach.
Yeah, one of those drones second floor as well at the moment. You can see the second being worked over towards that quad wall but dealt with. So G2 going in pretty blind here. They'll probably look to cross for the B default in kitchen.
They're going to have to hope for a miracle here, looking for a default plant through Alamau to just make it through safely. He waits, though. I'm imagining for a Nitro Cell or some kind of utility off of those initial smokes. Really nicely played from Alamau, but hey, there's another smoke. It's a gas babe from NJR. Forces him away and back out. He's not even inside of the site anymore with 20 seconds left. Low on health. This is, again, further disruption from DarkZero. And G2 are just not able to get properly into the site and set up. And so much so that DarkZero are thinking about going for flanks here. You don't even need to at this point. You've still got 2 gas babes remaining through NJR. Alamau just trying to get into the pocket. Goes for a different plant position. They lose Loira, and there's only 2 seconds remaining. So if you stop the plant, you are going to win the round. Indeed, that is exactly what happens. And G2, in the end, all the pace from the first couple of rounds evaporates in this one. Too slow, and time runs out.
Yeah, I think information being a huge difference in that round. G2 struggling for it. We saw towards that very final 10-second portion as well. There were no drones standing, and DarkZero continued to tempt the flank up above. And those anchors on site did their job well. We saw a really good smoke canister from Pamba to prevent the initial plant. It meant that Alamau had used his smokes, and so then crossing again for the plant was a low percentage play. That's why they elected to go up close, but had to be absolutely perfect with their crossfires. When quite the case, DarkZero did a good job of just being patient themselves and not over-correcting. And in doing so, able to close out that round. So really good work.
And the more that DarkZero extends their margin to such a hefty degree, it makes it even more difficult for Furia later on to be able to qualify. There is a world in which, by the way, that DarkZero win this, then Furia win their game, but Furia don't go through because of round differential.
10 seconds to go.
That would be an awkward kind of feeling.
New feed.
DarkZero, that of course are only worried about themselves right now and looking to win this as quickly and as dominant as possible. And I mean, so far there's not really much that surprised me. I think coming into this match, you look at kind of the tournament on paper. You know, you got a team that's DZ, they're 3-1. You got a team that's G2, they're 1-3. This result is kind of speaking for itself. Alamau, though, does find a very early kill onto NJR.
He's legged it over towards open already. DarkZero have been eager to try and hit these trades though, so we need to be mindful of the re-aggress, but Laura in support with that drone will help out. Nathan reeling these calls.
It's one area that G2 has actually gotten better with as the half has progressed. They've got the last 4 opening kills of this match. They haven't translated those into round wins.
Well, Nathan Alamau down below could be in for a duel in a moment's time. Alamau did actually drop off the back of that, and Nath close by main stairs, but he actually then retakes that space over towards open, so a bit of cat and mouse over towards that portion of the map as elsewhere Uno to drone through lobby in anticipation for maybe some control up above. Double stack open here for DZ. He could hold that horizontal control. Citizen taking another hit of damage.
Target detected. First
I want to see G2 find a way to play off of, well, I was going to say Alamau, but he does
Alamau
eventually
dropped
lose
and
his
then
life.
had 0 impact.
Yeah. So again, G2 unable to capitalize on the opening advantage that they created for themselves, but Spirit's low, so is Citizen. Logic Bomb rings out from Uno. Got a little bit of that top floor control now, and through the corridor, Citizen just caught. Nicely done on the rappel.
That's
Uno,
one of those moments where you go, why is he still there?
yeah, I mean, there's a minute left into the round. Time to start heading into the building, and Citizen just can't believe it. Surely G2 can look to close this half out now with a pretty solid advantage. Clutch drone from Doki. Should be able to find the hack onto Evil Eye, and it will be successful as the Logic Bomb again rings out from Uno. Into Towers now goes Loira, looking to get that plant down. Can't see anyone even remotely close to him. This should be very much successful. Spirits over towards Square, making his way up, and Nath now coming in as well. Pamba towards main. A little bit undetected? No, watched all the way through from Blaz. Finds the kill, and with that now in the post-plant scenario for G2, they are firmed to take this 6th round, find a 2nd round. As Spirits and Knave so incredibly low, would be an absolute travesty for G2 to lose this one. Well positioned by Blaz, good discipline to hold the angle, and in the end, G2 with a deserved 2nd round from the half.
Yeah, positions held there from DZ in the late portion of that round. Not particularly effective. They had a bit of a sort of like double stack over towards open, player bot square. Didn't have, I don't believe they had LOS over towards that plant position, and if they did, not really in a position to be able to deny. And so with that, a 4-2 scoreline as we switch sides, and with that a fresh ban phase in play. I think G2 would probably be pretty pleased with 2 attacking rounds here onto Bank, considering the lack of preparation likely for them in this particular game, and their reliance on finding those sneaky lurks and map entries for control and opening picks. DarkZero equally probably not too displeased. I think they'll back themselves attacking here onto Bank. Bands come through. It's Castle Mirror for defense and double shield for attack.
Target detected. First floor.
Nice, guys. Let's go. Nice round. Nice call, guys. Nice one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good round from G2, and I think if you kind of look at the half overall,
Gate and defuse bomb.
they definitely went into that half wanting to try certain things and wanting to make things happen. I don't think they left a lot to be desired. There was one round, if you wanted to be kind of critical, was the 5th round. The pacing was off. Far slower. They didn't seem to be able to gel as much in terms of coordination. But there was the first 2 rounds, super fast pace, made it equal, made it exciting. DZ were just better and countered those rounds.
Organs ready. Shoot it if you need it. Deploying organ.
The base one's going to be a little bit more interesting now. Kaid not banned out on this occasion, and so, as expected, G2 will use that opportunity to help with the hatch coverage. That being said, they're still actually going to elect to play a bit more of an open hold, but the hatch drop is pre-opened. G2 might start with the 2nd floor peel, eventually maneuver back down below, because the likes of Jan Hatch, for instance, reinforced off. They will have to have some kind of basement presence, though. Most notably to prevent a direct hit from third or even in through lobby itself. And so there's a couple of players positioned down below.
I do want to also have a look at the bank stats too so far at Reload. 56% defensive win rate.
Oh yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa. Check him, PC. What was that?
I was looking at my notes. I didn't actually get to see it.
Well, Pamba himself didn't get to see the down because it was straight through the wall. Blaz does get picked back up.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a surprise to see DZ do well on defense. Maybe a little bit of expectation now for G2 to kind of match that. Not necessarily better it, but match it to some degree. And not a good start to the round, though, for Blaz to be this low, but
I mean, it's not a great start
as
for
the
G2
Goyo,
to
it's not
have
that big a deal.
It's not a great start to have an open hold and for DarkZero to get that essentially uncontested.
Loading new magazine! Firing level!
So just going through the checklist right now, DarkZero, 90 seconds remaining in the round to open up these hatches, trying to open up these hatches. So one gas bait there, actually, top blue. Got to keep a lot of that utility in the back pocket, Laura. Might need it later on to deny that CCTV default plant. Hatch will get opened up eventually. Has taken slightly longer than they would have liked. Spirits looking to try and clear out the blue stairs position, which is still being held. Lura is actually only down to one gas bay, so he's trying his absolute darndest to keep that position away from DarkZero for as long as possible, but it does mean they're going to have less utility to deny the actual plant later in the round.
Naif was on drone there, so Alamar had an opportunity to rip the Nitro and find a kill, but elected not to commit. 45 seconds on the board. Candelas for rear. NGR already with a player isolated.
Yeah, and Spirits wants to help out here. That's why Candela dropped to Vault now. Right side. Knows that Blaz was there. Really good teamwork from DarkZero. But I just wonder if Spirits went a little bit too deep, too soon. NJR still over towards Elevator, up close. Loira does get the kill onto Citizen. That Spirit's down, but Loira very low. Finished off by Nafe. Good double kill. And leaves Doki all by himself in a 1 versus 4. Nafe to finish it all off for DarkZero. A wonderfully coordinated attack towards the site. Not often that you see that sort of Vault Elevator side on lockers really get utilized as well as that DarkZero did in that round. They take a 5-2 lead. And that round really from start to finish for G2 just never really worked out.
Yeah, they kickstarted things nicely, DarkZero, by getting that open area control rather uncontested. We did see some inefficient use in terms of the Hibana util, but eventually got those hatches opened. I like the call there from DarkZero. They investigated blue stairs, and then they were like, yeah, we don't really want to push that. That doesn't look all too enjoyable. Had some good information over towards rear. Kickstarted really that Blaz being put on an island. So that was just good composure from DarkZero to isolate that first initial pick and get things going with essentially a freebie. And despite Spirits falling, and I think that maybe that was a little bit overzealous to go for that play. At least he got a bit of information.
Well, he also did his job already.
He already got the kill. He already got some pressure out on the board. And clearly the rest of the attacking pattern there from DarkZero. Tight man, close by, hit those trades, and
yeah, good confidence as well. I think that's one thing that's been flowing for DarkZero at this tournament and probably improving as they've continued to make their way through it. It's just the utter confidence that they have in themselves and as a team. You've got to remember, they have not had a single bad result at this tournament. The fact that they're at this point in the tournament and fighting for their lives is quite surprising. 7-3 over Fnatic, 7-3 over SSG, 7-2 over Furia. It was just that one loss against W7M, but that was 6-8. Like, that was a close game. That's a decent match against a team that's already qualified for main stage. DarkZero would be very disappointed if they walk away from this tournament and not make main stage, especially with a win over G2.
So round 8 then. Akali to persist, but this time in the hands of Spirits.
Being candid, that would be very much a drawback of the format if you have a team that goes 4-1 and doesn't qualify.
That would be harsh. So information gathering then at the moment for DarkZero, their tempo really just slowing it down. I think that's been one of their big strong points, oddly enough, has been their tempo at this event for an organization and a roster over the last few years that one of their biggest weaknesses.
Yeah.
Swapping mags.
He's unfortunate to not find that kill onto Blaz. Held the angle long enough, gave himself enough time, and eventually someone did walk in. So looking to clear out Kanto, open it up.
Blaz just has to try and play as much time as possible there. Play for his life.
And they've lost Loira up. That one through NJR. Right now, G2 are playing so separately. There's not a lot of trade potential. So, you see Loira go down, no one gets the trade. If Blaz goes down, no one's going to probably get the trade. I think Uno's probably the linchpin right now towards top main. He's the one that can kind of help out Alamau, help out Blaz. Uno's one to watch here. He's playing a good power position defensively for G2 if he can get involved.
One tick might
they
kill
are
him.
putting so much pressure onto Blaz. To his credit,
wait, what?
He is not panicking at all.
Where'd the flame go?
I think it just went to the backside.
Oh,
yeah.
deep.
Yeah, it's gone all the way through.
I think the second one missed as well.
They have not been able to clear Blaz out. All they have to do is just swing and shoot. Uno does help out. He is that linchpin. Hits the headshot onto Pampazu. There's the second to follow. It wasn't up to Blaz. It wasn't up to him. He was low. He was stuck. It was up to Uno, and he comes to save the day. And eventually, yes, Blaz does lose his life, but so much time has now evaporated for DarkZero. They're down to 13 seconds remaining. Citizen, at that point, has to bring the gun up. Shield goes away with that, so does his life. In the round 2, DarkZero cannot clear out elevators.
Do you reckon Nafe's going to get a slap on the wrist and told to go back into customs and learn the lineup?
So 5-3, and again for every round that DZ do allow G2 to acquire, it just makes things a little bit more spicy in terms of that round or potential round differential later on.
Yeah, I could have sworn I heard their second bolt land, and I don't know if it landed in the exact same position, but it really just made things so awkward because Alame had the pre-rip Nitro. G2 were pretty eager to recontest for some front desk control, and it meant that crunched that position even with
Bomb located
the
by
lobby of
attackers.
power and a couple of other tools available for DZ. It was really rough for them. So
Reinforcing wall.
I think G2 can walk away from that round proudly saying that they were the better team.
Oh, absolutely.
DarkZero probably faltering for really the first time seriously to a large extent in this match.
And seriously, you know, you think about Uno, it's been a really, really rough tournament for him, and certainly has probably hurt it.
5 seconds
But
left
in that
before
moment, in that round, that's what you've got to do in that power position towards top main. You've got to play a stuck elevator. You're the one that can make first contact. He finds the double kill. He wins them that round. If Uno doesn't play his position that well, Blaz dies, they get overwhelmed, and eventually DZ have numbers and map control. A really, really good round from Uno. He goes 5-5. He's actually having a decent impact in this match. In fact, all members of G2 are actually playing equal. They've either got 5 kills or 6 kills. Everyone's probably had a moment here or there. It's probably been the most team performance from G2, yet they're still 3-5 down.
Swapping mags.
So over to open area then, and as we saw there for a split second, Pamba with a deep drone in the objective, Spirits to double down with some information for himself, and DarkZero now might have some confidence to go a little bit more direct. We'll wait and see. As you can see on the cards, it's a 3-2 split, only 2 players first for G2.
They're going to look to try and rush this because you've got the smokes that can go out, some steals the vision, play off with Blaz who can maybe find a couple of kills. Citizen does actually find one onto Blaz with the track stinger. Blaz was very much low. Nave finished off, so the trade does come through thick and fast for G2. Oh, Spirits, oh, he loses that battle to Uno. He's having a little renaissance right here on the final day of Reload. Huge kill to shut down the Glaz, who can no longer play off of those smokes now. It's a big win con off the board for DZ.
I'm not entirely sure how Uno was able to win out that fight. Maybe the placement of the smoke advantageous, and perhaps spotted the barrel of the gun, laid the spray down and made it work. Keeper barrier is difficult to clear. Pamba does have 2 Roteros available though if he is to prio that diffuser though at the feet of Uno, who can look to lock this down.
Yeah, so Citizen still on the exterior. You got NJR bot main and then Pamba top floor. Well, there's that bot main position in NJR who gets through to Loira. Equals things back up. Keeps this a rather spicy round in the night.
I don't think Pamba caught the barrier, no, but Uno has repositioned, in fact, inside electrical. So Uno going for a very
Citizen's
aggressive
making his way
play.
over that side of the map. NJR, another kill. Bambazoo helping out. Uno's by himself. Well, he did the good work earlier on. Can he finish it off? No, he cannot. Bambazoo will shut down Uno. And with that, DarkZero now acquire match point in this match.
Again, another really good example of the tempo from DarkZero. They drone early, they have that side information, they elect to go direct off the back of the Glaz. It doesn't quite work out. And I think a lot of teams, even at this level, can sometimes stall out in those positions, maybe try to double down, triple down, brute force a play that is just not the calculated move. But on that occasion, they reset, they were able to pick apart pieces of those defensive structures from G2. And you're right, it's a bit of a feel-bad moment for Uno, who was under so much pressure at the beginning of the round, but then left effectively in a 1 versus 3 with others taken down. Good pinch work from DarkZero and just another clean attack.
I mean, Uno's got kick control, and the way that the rest of G2 are kind of playing, you've got to probably try and bunch up, play off each other a little bit more, make it difficult for the remaining DC members to just kind of walk in, get that 1v1 action. Now, Loira towards main stairs, for example, moving around, active at that point, you really need to be. Do you not want to kind of play that more electrical square side of the map, play off of each other, get potential trades? It's a 3v3, you've got numbers. Instead, really, for DarkZero, it's just kind of isolating G2 members who are all playing by themselves, one by one. So 3 opportunities for DarkZero to close this match out. It would give them an extra +4 round differential. They've already got +3 over Furia, so that would make it 7. That would be not good news for Furia.
So additional bans in play. We don't see the triple shield from G2. Blackbeard was only played in that second round, instead onto the Ying, which equally was only played once, but it was on basement, the site that we go to next. So maybe prioritizing that a little bit more and not wanting to deal with that tool. We've seen it be really effective in rehits in this match, and so won't take place on this occasion. Spirits, funnily enough, does go immediately onto that Blackbeard, though. A roam in play then from G2. The Dame wants to try and break that down.
Yeah, do they just go for broke here?
Reloading. Cover me.
Try and snatch it round back quickly, put a little bit tiny doubt into the minds of DZ, who are now in a pretty commanding position. Again, a reminder, a win for DarkZero is not a full lock, not a full confirmation that they make main stage, but puts them in a solid position, and then the FaZe Fury game, of course, will determine their fate.
Loading new mag. Selma out.
I like that from G2, just a pure defense, looking to maybe get out a death mark or two, find a few drones on their way back down to safety on site. All for the open area drop again with the red drop pre-opened. Laz?
Oh,
Yep.
I mean, aggressive on the defense here, G2. As you kind of pointed it out before with the roam game, this time it's employed very nicely, and there's 3 swift kills. Pamperzoo now completely by himself, and yeah, this is probably one of the more dominant rounds from G2 in this match. Flawless. Immediately after DZ got that match point, G2 just kind of woke up in this round and said, no, we're not going home just yet.
And DZ, you've got to be careful, right? That round diff could really come back to bite them here if they're not careful, so...
Well, there's a little hint of irony in that, because they kind of want Furia to win. So you got to give Furia the carrot, because if you make it impossible, Furia won't have as much to play for. Yeah. All the semantics. But a good round. G2's shown a pretty decent amount in this match, and you're kind of wondering where was this against SSG, Fear X, Wildcard. The DZ team that's been playing really, really well this tournament. Haven't done much wrong. And to add further context, you kind of look at the matches at the tournament so far, and especially with this being a potential qualification game for DarkZero, puts them into a position where they can qualify based on other results. 7-3 Fnatic, 7-3 SSG, 7-2 Fury. So for G2 to have now gotten 4 rounds, that's already better than those 3 opponents that DarkZero beat earlier on in the tournament.
10 seconds left.
And this is, of course, off the back of G2 winning yesterday against Cloud9. So they're kind of ending the tournament on a little bit of a good note.
Activating camera.
Yeah, to the credit of G2, I think they've played some pretty respectable seeds in this match. Again, leaning pretty heavily into defaults and trying to sort out fundamentals. It's nothing crazy strategically. Their execution's been pretty decent at an event that has been rough going for them.
It'll sting a lot.
Top floor we go. Round number 11. Let's see how they look to break it down this time. DZ issues the last time with the Capital Clear elevator. See if they opt for another lobby crunch. Just the singular primary hard breach, and Nafe may use that over the board to Kanto, which has been electrified by the Kayi. Good work from Pamela on the IQ in dealing with some of that information gathering in the Valve. But focusing their efforts on stock side currently, Citizen with these Roteros looking to just clear out these positions. Potential utility placed. So just looking to poke and prod around the map currently. Diffuse it in the hands of Nafe over towards the top square repel currently. So signs pointing towards that style of execute. We've seen some teams opt for a little bit more direct CEO. But still options are plenty with 3 Summers to go through the top square wall itself. Midway point of the round has now elapsed. DarkZero with 6 drones still standing, and they've done a really good job in this match of getting drones in towards the physical objective. That information will be critical through the mid to late round.
Changing mags.
So we'll see what they go for. Nafe now in the building, as mentioned before, top square. And Loira will be in a bit of a pressure situation in a moment's time, but survives that initial burst.
Oh, good swing from Loira. You know, you make initial contact with Nafe through the hallway and expects probably one outside stock, swings it, gets the kill. Has the bulletproof camera, or at least had it there as well. Nafe does end up finding one from top square onto Alamau. Must have just gone for a peek and does give a slight reprieve for DarkZero heading into the final 45 seconds. Yellow ping intel for Pamperzoo. Really nicely executed off of that information. And now DarkZero have got the man advantage. Long angle onto Blaz as well. DarkZero just finding all of these angles that suits them. Doki still inside of Janitor. Does have a nitrocell, and so does Uno as well, but he's far back at front desk. He's not close to the action. Blaz certainly is, though, on the top floor, looking in towards airlock. Where's Pamper going? Doki in a great position, finds the double, and Spirits falls as well, and leaves it all up to NJR with no kit, no chance, and G2 stay in this one a little longer. And just makes things a bit more tense for DarkZero, looking to close this out.
You've got to have a sick feeling in your stomach if you're DarkZero right now.
At the end of the day, if DarkZero lose this match, they're out.
Or a North American
my
fan.
exact point, guys. Microcoms win the game. We've had 2 attacks where we've the first 2 attacks on Open and CO, we were not all ready to go at the same time. That is a, are we ready to flood? If the answer, if anyone says no, please say no if you cannot, and then we wait, and then we flood when we're all going. Okay. The microcoms will win the game. The game is simple. We work as a team, we win the game, okay? All those small comms will win. I'm giving you nothing strategic. Just keep up the Dokkaebi, and keep up the IQ. They're gonna ramp up the hides and the powers with the Valk.
Oh, I wanted more from Kenny.
Hello.
He wasn't done. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, at this point for DarkZero, I don't think you have to go too deep into that kind of strategy bag. It's really just all about, you know, the coordination, communication. This was really good. At that point, it's a 4v3. Doki just flips the round. He loses that battle, Janitor. They lose the round. Match is done. So a really big power play from Doki towards Janitor. 6-5. Things get a little bit nervous if you're a DZ fan. I'm sure it's not the first time they've been in this position. Getting these little micro heart attacks. And what it does also do is, again, reducing that round differential, right? So just allowing a little bit more of a chance for Furia. At one point,
Bomb located by attackers.
during this match, the only condition for Furia was to actually flawless phase. That's just slowly changing. You know, then it becomes 7-1, and then it's 7-2.
5 seconds of insertion.
Camera in position.
Attacker's objective is to
Is
defuse
there a
the
world
bomb.
in which we only have one North American team
Wall secured.
on main stage?
And if it goes to overtime, well, then that round differential is even more impacted, especially if it goes to 8-7, then that's absolute worst case scenario on any kind of win for DZ. It's a big round coming up. They need to win this. If they win this, they get +2. They've already got a +3 lead. That's +5. That's very difficult for Fury, right?
Yep.
Which, unironically, they need Fury to win, so...
Can they tie
a phase win does kind of mean that for DZ, this does not really mean much.
Can they tidy out their communication then? Time those executes, make sure everybody is, quote, ready to flood. No player left behind. Extension above from G2. Holding the cross onto these repels.
Drone is active.
And DZ will be eager to break that down. They do have the Ram and the Buck in play. So if they can get this control, they can get to work with Vert.
I mean, that's the primary win con right now for DarkZero. Full top floor clear, don't lose any members, get the Ram, the Buck employed. Blaz, did he just get misdroned towards long desk? The way he's positioned and the way he reacted to that drone going by, I figured that might have been the case, but a couple of shots did pepper through the wall. He is still hanging around front desk. And honestly, I like this for G2, contesting top floor. Oh, inside, stock, it's Loira the Demon, who stands up and hits the second headshot onto Pampersu through the barricade. Deals with the Blackbeard, deals with the Buck, and right now G2 are dealing with DarkZero, who have had a couple of opportunities to get this one done as early and as best possible. And down to just Snafe, who, while he does start with 1, needs 3 more, and now spotted towards that hallway. But I feel and sense that this match is destined for overtime, destined to go the distance, and maybe destined for DarkZero to just have one last capitulation.
It would be a sick way to be knocked out of the tournament. DarkZero, after their tactical timeout, still unable to execute these clears, now finding themselves in overtime. G2 holding these power positions, these key players landing their shots, and
Let me
G2
speak, okay, guys. Like
call
for the
attack.
attack, okay, guys. Like for the attack, open area and Teles, if they go to these bomb sites. Let's abuse of the cow pushing spiral fast because the fan is open and it still didn't show this match, okay? If they go basement, guys, for the attack, Uno, it's the time of the termite, okay? Like same we watched yesterday with Falcons. If you have the kills, we plant there. Trust the plant, like put one guy left for cover Uno, and if you don't have the kills, we split. Okay, guys. And for CO is the Windows attack. Okay, guys, we still didn't show. So
If they don't reinforce the wall, the walls like last time, I'm not taking thermite. I'm taking.
Okay, okay. The defense. Just one thing. If you dirt the blast, I don't want you playing pussy.
I mean, you can get the kind of vibe there with the communication from G2 that they're
taking this way more seriously.
They're in
than
this
I
game.
thought.
And the seriousness is definitely there with their tone. And it's not so much for them and what they would gain, because they don't really gain anything, but it's more like that competitiveness inside of you that's like, we can knock these guys out and make them just as disappointed from this event as us. And you can clearly see, once they get inside the server, these guys are taking this seriously. And that was a huge round from G2. And I mean, they've really brought this one back. It was a 5-2 lead to DZ, seemingly in control. Clearly the better team throughout the majority of this match. For it to then go this much in favor to G2 with so much momentum now heading into overtime, beginning on the defense as well. It's a long way back for DarkZero. Even if they win this now, their round diff is not that great, or at least not as great as it could have been. And that's the pressure side of things as well that you got to take into consideration, Gus. For DarkZero, that's got to be there in the back of your mind. Like, we're bottling this, and that could be us out.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Attack OT as well, and that's where we've seen some of these teething issues for DarkZero in clearing power positions and performing these floods in synchronization. It hasn't just quite been there, and G2 really for the first time at this event are actually punishing it. So it's been a challenge for the North American squad.
I mean, I know that G2 obviously beat Cloud9 yesterday and did so rather comprehensively, 7-3, but considering their opponent in this match, DZ, this might be the best we've seen of them at the tournament at the point when they're already eliminated.
Oh, this is incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, that is an incredibly aggressive run out from Blaz. NJR very much on top of that.
Well, it's a bait. It's a bait.
Is it a potential bait? Indeed, there's two players there, and NJR gets absolutely sucked into that bait. That's your Habana off the board.
That's disgusting.
And Doki is just laughing at him in chat.
That is the Habana for basement, by the way. That is an incredibly important
You can play site now. You can quite literally just play site.
Round over.
And if it is round over and G2 find a 7th, the max that DZ can get from this is only +1 on their round diff.
Oh boy.
And I should mention, by the way, if DarkZero lose this game, the next match to follow, FaZe Fury, the winner, goes through. Simplifies things a bit.
Oh boy.
So who can stand up now for DarkZero? 90 seconds left. You're in a bit of a bad spot. You've lost your Heartbreak. You've lost your Habana. You've got Spirits on the Blackbeard. Citizen on the Deimos. You've still got Avenue. I still think what they've got in terms of operator lineup can still win them this round, but they're going to have to play really, really well.
100%. It needs to be a rear drop, right? And you're looking at the likes of Spirits to play aggro on the Blackbeard and get ground, and maybe Citizen as well on Deimos. I don't have the pre-rip Nitro, though. Now, this has been droned, so DZ have a read.
Nitro cell in hand for Alamau.
He's just waiting for the drop sound.
Yeah.
Reloading ammo.
Not getting baited by the ROU. Still plenty of drones available as well for DZ. 5 with 50 seconds, so the drone economy is fine. Shield screen goes down. Another one comes up. Alamau is still prepped. Doki, by the way, towards CCTV, of which on the map right now, there's none there for DZ. Gets shot out. He went early.
Did.
DZ haven't. Spirits is down in Vault. They commit the Blackbeard with that diffuser. This has to be their hit. Well positioned from Alamau, though, to wait for the second player. And with a little bit of help from Blaz, they combine to take down that shield man. And Nafe is all that's left. And with that, G2 will get themselves match point and are on the verge of eliminating DarkZero from Reload.
G2 making it work. Dancing here on Bank. First pick onto the Habana with a very cheeky bait in towards Garage. Really helping fortify that round.
Really good play from Alamau to not get sucked into the Blackbeard and just wait for the second drop. And he knows there's a second drop. Why? His Nitro got shot. Where does that come from? Not from the man with the shield up, but the guy still watching Hatch. Really, really good game sense, really good positioning, good discipline. And G2 again, dare I say, this might be the best we've seen him at the tournament. It's their last day.
Better now than never, I suppose. And the event potentially on a high note here and knock out DZ play spoiled.
They were up 5-2, DarkZero.
Yeah.
They're in a commanding position. And look, I know that if, of course, FaZe had a 1, they still would have maybe not gone through, but you got to do what you've got to do, and they just haven't been able to do that. Since then, they've dropped 5 rounds out of the last 6. It's a bottle job.
So basement repeat. DarkZero now on defense. Can G2 finish the job? This is...
Well, we go back to the first half, right?
Let's just talk about the setup for a second. I mean, we're seeing triple Rio archives. Doesn't look like Open's being Rio'd at all. Again, no Kaid in play was banned out by G2, so DarkZero really looking to amplify that aggression offsite.
Go back to that first half, and G2's pace was paramount, but it didn't always work out for them. So I wonder if they slow it down just ever so slightly, have a bit more control in their pacing. There was a couple rounds they lost because they went too fast. There was also another round they lost because they went too slow. Got to find that right little middle ground. Deimos, Deathmark onto the Goyo of Citizen. A little early information onto the man inside of open area. But also G2 are now brimming with confidence, right, in comparison to that first half. So as they come into this attacking round, they get 2 opportunities. They know that they at least go defense in the next round if they do lose this.
They've locked in. Like,
they have
the closer they've gotten to winning, the
in.
more confident they've gotten. DarkZero, the complete opposite.
They've locked in as soon as they've been locked out of the tournament. Full white onto Citizen. Drops. Retreats back to site. 2 Deathmarks still available for Doki, who did make contact, half health. Sends it back onto Citizen. Top blue stairs right now with Spirits, by the way, on the Warden. Which is a pretty big piece, because you've got the Ying in Void. Nave almost dying through the hatch. And why are you taking so long to leave the elevator, my good friend?
Well, he was getting pinched by Uno, I think, through lobby, so didn't have free exit. I mean, that's just a really good clear from G2.
Right, standing still is not going to really do you a whole world of good either. And as you said, though, really good clear from G2. Get through to Nave.
Top fragger from DarkZero off the board, 4v5. Doesn't look great.
And I wonder if Spirits may now think, do I go for a swing? Do I go for something very special? But you're a Warden with a shotgun. Your job is to hold. You don't swing blue stairs here. And fortunately, he agrees and has retreated from that position. And there's still over a minute for G2. Actually, their pacing in this round may be a lot better than all their rounds in the first half.
1 Nitro still for Spirits, 3 Gas Babes and JR. Default, probably an unlikely outcome here for G2. But they have the manpower and they have the utility to go for alternate routes.
2 Vulcan canisters still up that haven't been dealt with towards Default.
Not happening.
And I think that's why Citizen has actually backfilled over towards Vault. Even though Nafe died in that position, you've got to get someone over there. Get bodies in that position. Very much looking like a Vault hit here from G2. Citizen can't win the battle towards elevators. That gives up that position now for G2. And inside a server goes Uno, who's actually going for that default hit.
Hold on.
But they're losing the battle towards the Vault side of the map. Still 1 player up though for G2, so they can throw bodies at this and no more Gas Babes to worry about. 1 Nitro for Spirits, but no longer accessible. He's down on the floor and leaves Pampazoo in a 1 versus 2. Into red time we go. Must win this if they're going to stay alive in this tournament for a little bit longer. As the plant goes down, Blaz is gun up, watching for this push, and he does not blink. DarkZero from a 5-2 lead. Choke this one at reload. They are done. Sent home by G2.
Wow, wow, wow. I actually cannot believe that result. G2 lock in, get that result across the line. And understandably, DarkZero absolutely devastated at that result. They lose 5 rounds in a row to get sent home.
Speechless. I cannot believe it's ended like that. And it's unfortunate for DZ, for a team that was playing so well at this event, doing so well with the new roster. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to be candid, they're going to take a lot from this entire event going into North America Stage 1. But I think they're also going to take the ghost of this loss. A 5-2 lead, they go home. Oh, we go to a break. Of course, don't go too far. Later on now, it's straight up win and you go through for FaZe and Furia.
Ramalho told Nave that Bank is their best map. Nave should have known that. Ramalho, I mean, you guys, you know, didn't let DarkZero have at least a chance to qualify. How cruel of you.
Yeah, I mean, we love Leif. Like, he's like Duke's best friend, so like it's like bad for them, but like it's still like we're here for the competition, you know, like, and like we couldn't let it they take the win on us. Like, we need that to win because like make it also like we more like confidence, yeah, confidence for UL that started like 3 weeks. So like, yeah, it was good for us, and that's it. Like, unfortunate for them, like, right.
But you're friends with them, so that's cool. Bank, as I said, is your best map, one of your best maps, but you had some like struggle in the beginning of the match to beat DarkZero. Why do you think that?
I think like both teams play really bad the attack. I think it's attack side the map. Like we have like some comms issues in the late rounds, but I think also because like we didn't warm up today, like so.
Really? Why?
Because like we like just communicating what we're gonna do about the game, you know, like so had a great prep, like, you know, so yeah, it was more of that, you know.
And when you have nothing to lose, you can use this match to try something new. Did you guys did that?
No, to be honest, no, we didn't try something new. Just like play our game. Like we didn't prep like anything for the Bank because like they are actually a new lineup, right? Like they changed like 2 or 3 players. So yeah, we just play our game and was enough for today.
Okay. And what are the expectations for the UL?
I think we have good expectations. Even like we did bad like here in the beginning of the tournament, but you know, like it's more like our mental than like something like outside the game, you know, like so.
What kind of stuff?
How can I explain? Like we feel so much the pressure like in server, and then like sometimes we don't even communicate. And I think like all the players need see 20% of the game, you know, like so we need every player communicating what they are watching now, you know, like what they're seeing, like, and then like we became like more dynamic team like in the mid rounds, you know, like, so I think that was the problem. Like we feel too much pressure, we feel too much pressure, and some people like was kind of quiet, like, you know, so yeah, I think like we can't like let it happen for you well, so yeah.
Okay, so really preparing for the UL. Yeah, that's it. Now we have one more game. Thank you, Ramalho, and we are back to the desk.
Yes, you are back to desk. My God, the throw of the tournament, the chokeout. It felt like I was watching 2019 DarkZero in this one. It all fell apart. They had the opportunity. It was right there, and it just,
It's not DarkZero messing this up though, is it? It's G2 stepping up.
Fair
G2
enough.
playing really well. It's G2 finally showing the potential that they've showed in scrims. It's G2 playing without pressure.
Yeah, the no pressure definitely helps G2, but obviously I will say that it does have a little bit to do with DarkZero. Once they got that 5-2 lead and they were losing that first round, it really looked like the confidence of DarkZero was shaken up. It feels like they maybe were overthinking it a little bit because a lot of the gunfights that they should have been winning or they were winning at the start of the game, that's what wasn't going in their favor. I mean, that last round, Citizen had the free kill on the guy on the hatch. He saw his feet first, and obviously he just missed the shots, and I felt like that's what happened with DarkZero. They overcomplicated it once they started losing the rounds, and then the rest was just G2 playing confidently.
Yeah, some missing points there of communication. You saw that before, right? Some out-of-pace moments where one part of DarkZero is going for the execute and some are not ready. You heard that during the tactical timeout of Kangaroo Kenny. He was saying it, guys, recollect yourself. When you go for the execute, it's 3, 2, 1, everybody goes together. If you're not ready, say it. And we could see that out-of-pace moment from time to time. The flip here was when they needed to attack.
And I mean, to be fair, the fact that DarkZero was able to mount such an early on lead with only getting one opening kill is still impressive, to say the least, that you're losing that first opening man advantage and you're still bringing it back, focusing on the objective that comes first. G2, I mean, it felt like it was their game from the start. They were just losing out rounds due to miscommunication, but it slowly got back on track once the side swapped.
they pulled it all together. Lawyer was someone that kept them in the game, but there's somebody that sent them that extra mile to close it, Leo.
Absolutely. I think we need to praise Blaz, right? He was picked up as the guy that needed to frag on his own. He was picked up as the guy that you'll put in an area, you'll give him a vision, something he needs to do, a job to achieve, and he will do that. Well, today he was that guy with the ram, with the vertical plays, and with so many super important kills when he was on those windows. We've seen it time and time again in attack and in defense as a roamer as well, stepping up, double digits for him. One of the newest pickup and one of the ones that delivered the most work for them.
Yeah, and he's not a player that you're looking to carry out the team, but obviously when Blast is able to gel around the other aggressive individual players and connect the dots, everything works out for G2.
Another French player that moved to North America and then this time went back to EU.
Talent on the desk, talent in the game. So much talent coming from France.
Are you talking about Village French?
No.
Me French?
I'm not French.
He's not French yet.
Canadian.
Montreal?
French to be.
Who's French?
Do you want to be French? Okay.
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
doing
Are you
that.
offering it?
I'm not doing that.
Anyways, you give me a bit of a heart attack. Let's talk about our Blacklight detail for our second to last, our penultimate matchup in the group stage. Oh, I thought we were just going to move on to something, right? I got so used to Leo just going over and doing something.
No, not this time.
What do we have for it?
So it's going to be about Blaz again. So we've talked about before the new CGX mechanics. And he's going to be on those windows again, applying a lot of work. You're going to see here the ping is making the meeting player move away and punished from Blaz. And you can see him running here from one window to another, getting ready to go in square straight after. And he was also rappelling here onto main and then switching from one corner to another. Now, for a player that needs to be on the windows by himself, be really powerful, but also is isolated, this new rappel system is way more fluid, gives him more opportunities to apply pressure from main, from CEO windows, all the way to square in a span of few seconds.
I mean, fluidity is the best way to put it, just because you can hold every single window a lot faster, especially if somebody was going to flank up square. It just adds so many different elements, and then obviously, if you're ever going for that pick and checkers, to be able to just instantly transition to the side window to be able to look through, and you know, you can go even that much further, go all the way to the front of the building. It just makes things so much easier to where you don't have to dictate and dedicate 2 to 3 people to hold the same thing. You can just have one.
It's cool to see it on Bank. We want to see more of it on Consulate, Cafe Dostoevsky. You're just looping around the entire map all day, every day. These sorts of mechanics are exactly why here. And imagine you go back from this Siege X not officially out to everybody and you're thinking, wow, man, I can't really do this. I'm so slow. And now Rainbow Six Siege, just the standard game. You just want to get into this and see it in play and get it to experience it yourself. We are going to get to do that not too long from now. Gentlemen, game number 4 for today is done. We can breathe for a second, but not
the best one is coming.
Enough to get your breath together for this final one. It is the match of the day. One more spot in that quarterfinal, FaZe versus Furia, and it's only the group stage. Let's take a break.